Do you want to attack commercial ships? He didn't want to do that.
First, about a name that we've come to know observing events in Ukraine, the man who is widely known as Putin's chef, Evgeny Prigozhin. He is the head of the Wagner Group, a kind of private army in Russian service. Now, he was discussed at a committee of MPs this afternoon, described as taking orders from Putin. But the relationship is more complex, isn't it? And interesting and really very important to the conduct and future of the war.
Yeah, it is. It's partly to do with his hold on Putin and how you can off-ramp his capabilities from the losses in Russia. Now, of course, he's almost outside military control, which is one of the bizarre things in how the tactical battles at Bakhmut are going on at the moment, which seem to have no strategic rationale. But at the same time, he seems to be the major protagonist for almost like the World War I type fortifications, a sort of Verdun line or a Maginot line in World War II. Entrenchment, and he'll probably make some money from this. I mean, this is a multi-billionaire. He's a neo-nationalist, and that gives him a hold on Putin, which enables Putin to take the aggressive matters he does in certain methods. But it can backfire, and I think one of those backfires we've seen in the last 12 hours, really, with the grain issue, where Russia seems to have come back in compliance. And in terms of game theory and international relations, that the analysis of how decision makers interact in decision making, taking into account the reactions and choices of other decision makers, particularly here in the international field, they've been routed in that. Their decision to rescind the grain deal after the attacks on Sevastopol is shown to be really rather odd, but may show that Putin is actually slightly rational, that he may not be someone who is just out of his mind, because this was a rational retreat. If he wants to give the impression that he is someone who the rest of the world want to follow, because his last speech, of course, was entirely against the West and riled against the West, and he doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy.
Yeah, and this would be on the basis that to further interfere with the passage of that desperately needed grain out of Ukraine to parts of the world, Africa and elsewhere, where people are starving for want of food, that would just be, to use a crude term, it would be bad PR. And you're saying he's aware of that, as well as his extreme ambition.
Yeah, he is, because if you look at his last speech, the Valdai speech, it was really trying to get those who are the neutrals, either in the Middle East or Asia, on his side, that the day of the West or era of the West is coming to an end. But of course, cutting off the grain or rescinding the agreement affects those countries who are absolutely poor. So the top 5 countries that the grain goes to is Egypt, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Turkey and Yemen. And Turkey, of course, can either be an ally or an enemy. And the real thing here is that the Turks, the UN and Ukraine ignored him, and therefore gave the challenge to Putin. Do you want to attack commercial ships? He didn't want to do that, so he had to come back into compliance. The Turks, the UN